Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar with Akshita Agrawal. We'll be focusing on consulting and MBA. First of all, introducing Akshita Agrawal. She is a BITS Pilani alumni. She did her MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and currently she's working at McKinsey. She was also a recipient of the BITSA 30 Under 30 Award and was a delegate speaker at the World MBA Summit. So welcome Akshita.
Hi guys. Hi Supriya. Thank you for the very heavy introduction that you've given me.
Yeah. First of all, let's get started. I wanted to ask, what does the job of a consultant entail, and how does a typical day in the life of a consultant look like?
Okay. So I think your question was, what does the job of a consultant entail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a very broad question, firstly. So let me try and divide it into three parts. The first one that I would like to just elaborate a little bit on is the definition of a consultant. Currently, the times that we're living in, especially the firm that I work for, there are 9 different tracks of consultants altogether. And I think mostly when I was in BITS, what I knew was only about one track, which is the integrative consulting track. And so let me first elaborate a bit on that and then share with everyone what other tracks exist, because there are multiple avenues for you to get into consulting at this point in time. So I think the first one would be integrative consulting track. Here, what typically happens is that we are introduced to the clients as advisors, and we are the front end guys, right? So we sit at the client side and we help them figure out what needs to change, whatever problems that they're facing, and they've brought us in for that. So we try and solve those problems. Examples could be profitability is going down and we need to figure out why and how can we recover the bottom line. Another example could be we need to grow the market, or we need to get into a segment which is new for the company, or they are looking for a diversification piece. So those strategic areas becomes the second sort of typical problems that McKinsey or a Bain or a BCG consultant would solve. The third problems could be around transformation, essentially change management or organizational changes, some processes that have to be changed, etc. So these are the 3 broad categories, and typically most of the client problems that at least in India we are solving, they fall into one of these 3 categories. And if you have had a chance to intern in any of the consulting firms, you would know that it's broadly these 3. Either it's strategy, or it's cost optimization, or it's process transformation. It's either of these 3, which typically a consultant, at least in their initial few years, will get to solve. But that's about the track 1, right, which is the integrative consulting track. The other tracks are very different and have, again, different problems, but that's still a very small scope of area. The first one is around product management, wherein you come in and you help the clients figure out how do we launch a new product, or what should be the go-to-market strategy for a product, or how should the product actually look like. So you actually sit down and you design the features of an app, or you design the user journey, who will interact with the app, etc. So all of those product management, product build kind of problems is something that track handles. It's called a product management track. You can enter that track again as a junior associate into product management, and then graduate to only do those kind of problems. The other kind of track is around expertise led and implementation led, where a lot of higher work experience candidates are taken into, and typically those are longish engagements, right? So for example, the growth problem or the cost problem is typically a 3-month or a 8-week kind of still a shorter study. 2 to 3 months is the typical life cycle. However, the implementation pieces are typically long. So that's the broad job of a consultant nowadays. And just, I'll just pause here and ask, maybe just let you guys react to it and ask me more questions.
Okay. Like what you just described, so based on the different streams within consulting, what type of profile should an undergraduate student work towards for a consulting job, or any common misconceptions that most people have regarding consultancy?
Sure. I think as an undergraduate, typically the role that I would recommend is to go for an integrative consulting track. And within that track, I think the entry level role would be of a business analyst at an undergraduate level. And if you're an MBA student, then it's the junior associate track in India. So those are the two entry roles that I would recommend, especially for someone who's looking to enter into consulting. And focusing only on the undergraduate part, I think business analyst is the only role. You can also maybe try and explore a couple of other roles into, say, research analysts, which is typically the domain of McKinsey Knowledge Center and McKinsey Data Centers. But those are still not the real consulting exposure per se. So if you're looking for getting into research, or if you're looking for more secondary research kind of problems, I think that would be your area. But if you're looking to really, be front end and solve client problems by sitting at the client side, and some of those things which I described, right, if they excite you, then business analyst role is the one for you.
Okay. And so, like, what is the general structure of a consulting interview, and what does the process look like?
Okay, before I address that, I think I just saw a question. Wait 1 second. It was, yeah, so Manan has asked, what type of work does an entry-level consultant do? So let me address this question first, because it's sort of related to what we were talking. I think broadly, and I'll quote my example here, my work currently is to lead different work streams. And let me elaborate that by taking an example. So the first project that I did, and I joined McKinsey last year. So for the first 3 months, I was put on a piece which was broadly process optimization. So in that, so typically how an engagement in McKinsey is structured is that you will have an engagement manager, and then you will have 2 or 3 associates under that manager, right? So it's an EM+3 structure which is followed. And the work streams are divided in a very similar way as when you solve a case interview, the categories that you really put. So for example, if you were to do a process optimization or a process transformation for a company, you would generally take up a product lens or a consumer lens, right? And then you will try and see that entire journey and break it down into processes and figure out how do I optimize or how do I refine each of these processes, end-to-end value chain. So I was assigned an end-to-end value chain of wholesale lending products. So your term loans and your working capital loans. So those were my work streams. And what I did on a day-to-day level was figure out where the problem is in this entire process. So it's essentially problem solving at its very basic level. What I used to do is get on calls with clients, understand what they're doing. So develop an as-is process map of what the current situation is, where are the pain points, where are the gaps, highlight that, and then bring it up for problem solving discussions with my seniors. So I used to bring it up to my manager, I used to bring it up to my partner, and then we used to sit and discuss, hey, these are the potential gaps that we see, how do we fix these? And that's how you generally, work towards solving the problem. So that's basically the job of a consultant. You will be assigned a problem from the very first day, and you will be expected to have a very curious knack to solve that problem. Why is this problem occurring at the client? What could be the reasons behind it? And once you've figured out the reasons, how do you improve, or what solutions do you bring to the client which solves that problem? That's the broad essence of whatever consulting company you join. You will be doing this problem solving, and you will be taking this framework.
Okay, so like going back to the question about how consulting interviews are structured and how does the process look like?
Sure. Okay, let me just present my screen and talk you through it. Give me 1 second. Sure. So there are broad 3 steps, right, to this entire consulting process. It starts with resume shortlisting. So that's the very first step. After resume shortlisting, what typically happens in most of the consulting firms is that you're assigned a buddy, and that's the buddy process which happens. It typically lasts about 4 to 5 weeks, and in that process, what you will be solving is essentially case interviews, mock case interviews with your buddy. You'll be trying to understand more about the firm. The buddy will help you steer through the process. They will give you guidance and tips and tricks on how you can be better at case solving process. That's the second step to this entire consulting shortlisting interviews. And then finally, when during the D-Day, you will face case interviews. In my experience, generally 2 or 3 case interviews happen per candidate, and that's how you graduate to the final round, which is called the partner round, where they interact with you. They try and figure out if you're culturally fit for the organization, etc. And that's when you are either made an offer or not. That's the broad process.
The next question is, so as an undergraduate, how does one prepare for the interviews? And if you could shed some light on the resources one should consider while preparing for the MBB interviews.
Sure. I think in terms of resources, one book that really helped me was Case Interviews Cracked. I think it's a book written by IIT Bombay graduates. It was really, really helpful to me, essentially because I was a noob at this, right? And when I was trying to figure out how do I structure my case interviews, or what are the interviewers actually looking for in this case interview, I had no clue about it. And that's the book that I really picked up. It's like a beginner's guide. So I would recommend, and I would highly recommend this book to anyone who's trying to break into consulting and does not know where to start or how does the case interview process works. So that's one book that has really, really helped me. So I would really recommend it. The second book, I think, it's called Day One. It's by IIT Madras. It's another consulting case book, which has lists of short cases and longish cases, and I think it's around market entry or pricing strategy, your basic run-of-the-mill profitability cases, etc. So it gives you good examples on that. So that would be my second book. The one book which I would recommend to never buy would be Case in Point. I think there's a inherent difference in how the Indian companies shortlist candidates, and how the process here in India works as opposed to US or other geographies. So I would not recommend taking Case in Point at all, because the cases are not detailed. The level of structure that is generally expected of an Indian candidate, at least here in the companies that come to shortlist and interview, it's completely different from what that book actually entails. So don't buy that. It's a waste of time. If you have purchased that book, please just stop reading it altogether. It would be highly a blunder if you take that book's tips and tricks and put it to the case. So don't do that.
Okay. Also, many people asked if doing a finance minor really adds to your profile, and if there are any online courses or courses in our college that one should look up to for consulting.
I think broadly, one thing, actually this is like a misconception that I've heard a lot of candidates ask me. So let me clear that. Your academic GPA matters to some extent, but what you've really studied does not. Essentially, what you need to have is a very curious mindset, right? So if I were to give you a finance problem statement, say, if I say the EBITDA is going down and I need you to recover it for me, a curious person would just ask me, hey, I'm not sure what EBITDA really means. Could you explain it to me? And then I can help you figure out how do we recover it. So that's the kind of intellect, or that's the kind of common sense that I would expect in a candidate to have. And I would really not expect you to remember or to mug up formula or anything, especially during the case interview process, because the people who are taking these case interviews, they know that I do not expect these students to know everything. So just go with a mindset that if you don't know anything, you will be bold enough and confident enough to ask that to the interviewer and present it in a way that really enhances your case. So because I'll give you my example, right? In my interview, they asked me to develop a digital marketing strategy for an e-commerce company. Now, I did not know what elements of digital marketing or what exactly are they looking for. Because given this problem statement, anyone would be baffled about the scope of this problem, right? So what I did in the first 10 minutes was to just discuss with the interviewer as to what the scope really is, on what are we trying to figure out in this case, right? And after I had clarified on the scope, that becomes really easy. And then you can, so essentially the problem statement that he had originally started with, right, develop a digital marketing strategy for an e-commerce company, eventually came down to, hey, design a website. That was it. So so getting from there to that step is where your expertise comes in. And I don't mean expertise in a way that you have to know digital marketing, or you have to know what e-commerce company does, or you have to know business models of that industry. What you really need to know is, can you ask good questions? So asking good questions is the only ability that we are looking for in candidates.
Okay. Also, so what responsibilities or roles that you took up as an undergraduate student really helped you to, develop your profile or inculcate those qualities, like in terms of the interviews?
I think that's a काफी existential question पूछा है तो तुमने. Let me think. Okay. Yeah, I don't think ऐसा कुछ, मतलब ऐसा मैंने कुछ जान के नहीं करा था that hey, I will do this and this will get me brownie points, or hey, I will do this and I will learn this. Especially in BITS, I never thought that I would end up in consulting. In fact, I used to be very carefree during my time at BITS. And just to maybe exemplify it, I was from a civil engineering background, right? And I had no interest in doing civil engineering. And I remember, I think 2-1 का semester था, and Maxol में मेरा शायद D लगा था. And I was like, oh man, what is happening? So, matlab, I used to suck in civil engineering. Like, it just did not interest me. But what I did eventually find out was a lot of humanities courses. Matlab, there was, I think, professional ethics, principles of management and humanities courses really interested me. So I took lots and lots of them. Like, I did not take civil electives. I took humanities and management electives. And that's something that I was like interested in. So wo mera interest tha, and that's why I used to read up a lot and debate with professors. I remember Pilani mein, I think there's this Hari Menon professor who was like ekdam best debater on campus. So we used to spend a lot of time just discussing theories, and that's how it's just essentially your conversational ability and ability to ask good questions, right? So it just develops if you read certain topics. Like, I got into Adam Smith in 3rd year, and then I used to read the theory of moral sentiments and just discuss with people on it. So it depends on your interest. I think broadly, if you chase your interest, it should be fine. So that's academics. Let me talk about extracurriculars. I was part of Boston sponsorship. So that's the sports fest in Pilani. And uski sponsorship team mein thi main, and I was also part of the election commission. So those were the 2 clubs that I was part of. And other than that, I just chilled at BITS, like really chilled. I did not do anything else. So broadly, I think it doesn't matter really which clubs you join. What essentially matters is that whatever you are interested in, or whatever you like, to what extent or to what depth have you gone and really shown your excellence in it. And let me elaborate that by an example. This is again something, thoda sa misconception rehta hai isme, that hey, if I join these 4-5 clubs, will it look good on my resume? And that's really not the case. Like, I know of people, especially because right now, like when we are on the other side and we look at candidates' resumes, the one question that is generally asked on the other side is how good he or she is in whatever he or she likes. That's the broad question. So agar, for example, if you're interested in art and you've held exhibitions in 2-3 places in India, that's a really good point to have on your resume, because that just shows if you like something, to what extent have you gone ahead and did something about it. Like, for example, I used to like reading and just doing extra random stuff. So I went ahead and I pitched an idea to TED that hey, I want to create a video for you guys. And that's how I became like the youngest Indian to have ever done that. And I was not like vying for it ki meko aisa kuch karna hai and all. It's just that I was interested in it, and I just asked and I pitched. I wrote to them, wo jo website pe email ID nahi hoti, contact us types. I wrote an email to them, hey, I have an idea, let's do this together and I can help you create a TED Ed lesson. I'm not sure if you watched TED Ed ke videos, but uspe hi I've created like another lesson. It's on, I think, economics. I was into management, economics, humanities during my time at BITS. So that's what I did. So it just depends on whatever you're like, usme to what extent or to what depth you get into. And there's like no limit, and people can't guide you on it. So like it's mostly what you're researching and what you're trying to do in your free time. So jo bhi, like if there's a hobby that you have, or if there's anything in this world that you like, even if it's PUBG or kuch bhi, so usme bhi what extent have you gone ahead? Like, are you the national level champion in PUBG? Then that's something that you should add to your resume, because as an interviewer, I would want to know like more about it. Matlab, so that's the broad categorization of spikes bolte hai na कि resume में spike है. So that's the spike that we're looking for. Anything that you like, उसमें कितना depth या कितना breadth have you shown? And that if you put on your resume, you will definitely get a shortlist.
Okay. Also, like, what advice would you give to someone who is like confused about going for an MBA right after college, or like, does MBA have a huge effect on your consulting profile?
Okay, I think iska answer is काफी simple. If you have an MBA, your chances of getting into a consulting firm are much higher. And uska simple reason ye hai ki mostly you will notice all the consulting firms typically hire MBAs, right? And if they're only hiring MBAs, तो MBA से जाके वो लेंगे भी ज़्यादा लोग. So that's like a very simple funda. So if you are trying your luck in undergrad, you really have to work harder. Like, if not, I would not compare directly, but relatively still, you have to work harder to get into a consulting firm, especially MBBs, and the main integrative consulting track that which I referred to in the beginning, in the business analyst role. So that's a little harder to achieve, because you are you're competing with a lot of people for very few roles, right? But when you enter MBA, the role size, the role pool itself, it's so large that entering into or breaking into one of these firms becomes easier. So I think that's my broad simple oversimplification of this of the question.
Any off-campus opportunities, competitions that or scholarships that one should look out for when it comes to like a consulting profile?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything specific, like nothing specific comes to my mind. What I've seen some of the students do is take part in those consulting case competitions, which are generally organized by various firms. And most of those firms are not even consulting firms. So it could be like a Mahindra, which launches a Mahindra War Room. Like that happens a lot in MBAs. For MBAs, right? There are a lot of case competitions. Schneider Electric, I think, has a annual case competition, which is global. I think there's something organized by P&G. So there are different companies who do this. So if you're interested, you can take part in that. And if you hold a national or an international position, I think that really will help you get a consulting shortlist. But that's not the deal breaker, I think, for me. Whatever you're interested in, right? You could be like, you can present at an international conference. There are some very common ho gaya, ab to cliche hi ho gaya, un 3-4 there are like 3-4 global conferences which you take a part in, and that's mostly like if you're vying for a consulting role, log karte hi hain, to unke main naam bata deti hu. There are, I think the first one is St. Gallen's Symposium. Let me just type that out. 1 second. So I think there's one St. Gallen's Symposium. Then there is, I think there's something, I think World Business Dialogue, if I'm not wrong on the name. That's the second one. So there's another one, which is, I think it's called World Government Summit. That's another one. It's held in Dubai. I went to it, I think 2018 or something like that. Aisa. So this is like a really cool one. वहाँ पे सब free होता है. So if you get selected for it, it's like 5-day free Dubai घूमने को मिलेगा, and it's like good exposure. You get to meet the ministers and all. So it's a good exposure wise. This is one of the better ones. Then there's another one. It's called, I think, Peter Drucker's Global Case Essay Competition, something like that. You can check that out as well. So these are like few very common, like everyone knows them. If you want to take part in any of them, you can. If you score like an international or even a national rank, so it will really at least look good on your resume. So those are a couple of conferences that I can recall top of my mind.
Okay. Sure. Now moving on to CAT and MBA. So many people had questions regarding like any tips or resources that you want to suggest to people preparing for CAT, or like any common mistakes that people end up making. Or, and also connecting that to another question, like what made you go for an MBA 2 years after working at ZS Associates as opposed to right after graduating from, say, college?
Okay. Okay, let me start with the first one. The books or the resources that you mentioned for CAT, right? Yeah, I think for me, what worked was time material. So all the modules that time has for DI, LR, quant, verbal, so all of them, I use them religiously. And after, so उसका भी थोड़ा back story बताती हूँ मैं. I actually gave my first attempt at CAT when I was in my 4th year. But at that time, it was like thoda half-baked attempt tha, so I didn't score as high. So my percentile was around 95. And that's when I thought कि नहीं अभी work-ex करेंगे और उसके बाद करेंगे. So I was not sure about the idea that hey, I want to do MBA or I want to do CAT and then do my MBA from India, etc. So I was not clear on it. As I told you, which time I was like super carefree. So that was my first attempt. Then in the first year at ZS, I started to really enjoy the work. I really like the work. So I thought that, hey, maybe I can continue doing this for some time. So in my first year in ZS, I gave CAT again. And that time also it was like another half-baked attempt. So I scored the same percentile, again 95 point something. And then I thought, यार ये तो 95 ही आ रहा है, like I'm not studying for it, 95 आ रहा है, तो पढ़ लूंगी तो फिर तो हो ही जाएगा. So then that's when I thought कि अब seriously पढ़ लेते हैं. Then because then I did some calculation कि hey, if I study now and I have 4 months left and मेरे 2 साल हो जाएंगे in ZS and then I will get into an MBA college. So it's like a sweet spot experience to have, because in India at least more than 2 years of experience thoda sa it just makes you like it just puts you on a back foot, especially in MBA. Thoda kam experience pe if you go, because generally the crowd is average 1.5 year experience. So I wanted to be on that average mark. And that's when I was like, no, I have to seriously prepare. So that's the backstory. Now, the material that I referred was first time ka material. And after my office, I used to come back and 1 hour every day I used to study. And I did that for 3-4 months. So like religiously studying for 3-4 months, because I wanted to make sure that my accuracy is high and that I'm able to complete all the questions in time. Because mera do jagah pe I was like missing. Ek to I was not able to complete all the questions in the allotted time. And the questions that I was actually attempting, especially in the verbal reasoning part, wahan pe my accuracy was a little low. So I wanted it to be at least 85 plus, but it used to always be in the averages of 70. And I wanted to improve that. तो ये मैंने थोड़ा सा ट्रैक करना चालू करा, and that's like one tip which I will give to all engineers. Just open an Excel and maintain that log for yourself. So I think you only need 4 months of religious preparation for CAT, right? And 1 hour every day will suffice, provided you are familiar and you know the fundamentals, which I think everyone does in this crowd, right? तो उसके लिए just maybe one day एक दिन लेके just take a mock CAT. Abhi hello ek mock CAT. You will understand the baseline where you are at. If you are like ranging in the 90-95 range, then like 4 months of preparation will give you 99 plus. But if you're not in that range, then you need to thoda sa prepare, work on your fundamentals a little bit. And then you can assess each section wise ki VA mein problem hai, ki quant mein problem hai, ki DILR mein problem hai. And then you can address it like VA mein, if there's a problem, you specifically read, you spend more time on VA. Quant mein problem hai, so you figure out if it's your accuracy or if it's something else, if it's a specific topic, and all of that you can figure out if you maintain a log of all the errors that you make. So I used to have an Excel, and उसमें I used to write down कि अच्छा math के geometry question के coordinate geometry question में मैंने गलती करी, and then I used to track कि वो coordinate geometry में every day am I making a mistake, or is it like more in the sense कि हफ्ते में एक बार ही गलती हो रही है? And that's the 80-20 principle that you apply on the mistakes, and then you learn, and then you try and give more time to the areas where you're weak at, and it should solve. I think that's a broad strategy for CAT.
All right. Also, like getting an IM Ahmedabad admit is not so easy, and many people believe that CGPA has an important role to play the same. But like, what aspects of your profile or CV acted as an important deciding factor for the same?
Yeah, okay. I think, yeah, I will not like sugarcoat it. CGPA does play a role. And I think, so I realized this in my second year. Remember that Mexol D, it just made me realize that civil engineering se mera CGPA kharab ho jayega, so I need to do something about it. And that's where I figured out what are the other courses on offer. And I will boost my CGPA by taking different courses. And that's what I did. So I took a lot of humanities, I took a lot of management courses. तो उधर में सब में A या A+ लगा और सिविल में सब में B- लगा, तो बेसिकली एवरेज होके मेरा GPA 8 था. It was around 8.4 like when I graduated. So that's the strategy that I would say that you can apply as well. मतलब you can just try and offset जो भी CGPA में तुम्हारा ज़्यादा खराब कर रहा है, just figure out a course or find out something else which will give that boost, so that the average is around 8.5. At least maintain that 8.5 range, because it's important not just for MBA, not just for IIM Ahmedabad, but also for your consulting shortlists. Because in MBA, the competition is high. The chances of getting selected is also high, but you still want to, like, don't take risk. Okay, just have that 8.5 GPA as a fallback. Like, wo to hona hi chahiye. That's like a no-brainer for everyone in consulting. 8.5, that should be your that should be your goal. मतलब उतना ही रखो, don't make it like 9, 9.5, उतना भी नहीं चाहिए, but 8 तो होना ही चाहिए. That's the GPA of but I think I've digressed. Could you repeat the question?
It was mostly that what aspects of your profile really helped you like getting an IMA admit, and yeah, the CG question you've already answered.
हाँ, तो यार मतलब I think academics helped. Then I think in the interview, how you present yourself really helped. So mera interview was mostly on my civil engineering subjects. So they asked me a lot of questions on that. And what I did was very confidently deflect all of them. So I think maybe that helped. And then when they asked me, what do you do other than civil engineering, then I talked a bit about my interests, which is when I like talked about my spikes, right? That TED video that I just mentioned, I talked about that. The blogs that I used to write at that time, I mentioned about that. The books that I'd read, I mentioned about that. And then we had a discussion on it. And because मैंने management and humanities courses थोड़े करे थे पहले, so I knew a couple of frameworks, and some frameworks I really liked also. And ek do pe I had like dissenting views. So I sort of presented that, and then we had a discussion. And maybe that's something that really they liked in the interview. Maybe that's my guess. I'm not too sure.
All right. So now looking at your years at IIM Ahmedabad, you really excelled when it came to like academic performance. So are there any differences when it comes to studying there as opposed to your time at BITS, and what should a person wanting to get into these B schools look out for or prepare for?
Okay. Yeah, I think broadly it was my interest. I was more interested in the type of courses which I encountered at my time during IMA. So I think that's the broad differentiation. I really did not enjoy so many courses at BITS, especially my core courses, so I did not like at all. So that's, I think, the broad difference, because I studied more, and it's just like a virtuous cycle, if so to say.
Okay. And also, like, currently you're working at McKinsey. So how is that experience of yours? And is it what you expected it to be as an undergraduate, or is it any different?
So Samruddhi is asking your views on MBA in India versus abroad. Yeah, I think it really depends on what you're looking for. So say you've gotten a business analyst job at, say, MBB, right? And you've sort of worked a year and a half, and then you try and find out another role which gives you that exposure, right? Then I would recommend go for an MBA abroad, right? Because you've already had a really good start in your career. But if you're trying to, so say you land up at a not so decent or an average job, so there I did not want to wait for 5 or 6 years to build my work experience to an extent that would match the average of an MBA abroad. I'd like crossed the optimal level, or I was very near the optimum level. So that's when I thought that, hey, I need to make the switch. And that's what I did. I wrote CAT and I went into IMA. So that was my thinking, right? But if you're already in a in a position where you think that if you invest 2 or 3 more years into that firm, or you will get a better role if you leave that firm, if you're seeing that growth trajectory already, right after your undergraduate, then definitely wait a few years, get more work experience, and go get that MBA abroad. But if you think that it's not going to cut it, right, वो मतलब थोड़ा सा intuition and थोड़ा सा experience wise you develop that differentiation. So then why wait, right? You could like directly write your CAT and get into an IIM. Now that's like the very basic reason why of differentiation, right? There could be multiple colors of thinking about MBA in India versus abroad. It could be what your current situation is, or if you're really enjoying that particular sector, because there are a lot of people at ZS as well who have worked 4 or 5 years, and I'll give you examples of BITS alumnus only. I think Tariq Khan, you can go check out his LinkedIn profile. He was my senior at ZS, I think 2 years senior to me at ZS, and he worked there for 5 years. He got promoted to a consultant, and then he went to Wharton. So that's also a career option that you can take. But what generally happens after that is that you have to really stick in that career. You have to get those promotions to make your profile look really good. So especially if you're targeting the Ivy Leagues abroad. So but you can choose both. I think it depends more on your personal situation, where you're coming from, what is your target, etc. Okay, Abhishek is asking, does doing minor in data science help if I want to do MS from abroad? Depends, yaar. If you want to do your MS in data science and if you want to stay in this field, why not? Matlab, you should do it. Especially abhi data analytics, design thinking, product management, these 4 or 5 areas are like really booming. So if you get a break in your career in one of these streams, definitely go for it.
Okay. So going back to the McKinsey question, that how is your current experience working at McKinsey? Is it what you expected it to be as an undergraduate? Is it any different?
Okay. Yeah, I think mostly it's in line with what I had expected. But that's also because I had spoken to a lot of people to prune my expectation in that way. So I had what I currently do, as I just told you. So mostly my day begins by checking in with the clients. So it's a 9 a.m. call that I get on with the clients. I discuss with them what are the things we're going to solve for today, what are the areas that need unlock in whatever problem. चाहे कोई भी problem statement हो, whether it's growth, whether it's strategy, whether it's cost optimization, process transformation, digital, etc. Kuch bhi. We generally start with a client check-in in the morning, where we discuss and break down the tasks for the day. And then the day generally revolves around solving that problem, figuring out who is the right expert in the field and getting them on board and understanding from them, and then just applying your business logic to get to the answer. So it's never expected that you will be solving that problem alone. You will always have experts, be it internal McKinsey experts or external experts that you can get on calls with. So most of your day will be involved in that, followed by interim check-ins with either your manager or your partner, who will again try and shape your problem solving in a way that gets to a client answer. Because ultimately, what I think one difference that you will notice in MBBs versus other consulting firms is the kind of impact orientation that we have. So whatever we are trying to solve, it always leads to an outcome. So it is never that something that you're doing will not really lead to an outcome. If that's the case, then you're approaching the entire problem wrong. And that's where a lot of internships, I've seen candidates fail in internships because they're not gunning towards an outcome. They're trying to do a lot of things at once, and that generally leads to failure. So typically, if you want to think like a consultant, maybe watch Victor Cheng videos, right? It's a really good place to start. Let me just mention his name. He's quite famous. I think most of you would know him if you're looking for consulting. But Victor Cheng is one guy who you should just watch videos at. I think there are a couple of videos on YouTube. So wo dekh lo. I think you will get a fair sense of what consulting really is. He's an ex-McKinsey consultant. Now he runs his own firm. I think it's called Case Interviews. And he's also written a book. It's called Case Interview Secrets. So if you get a PDF, go read it. Otherwise, don't buy. मतलब उसमें काफी छोटा सा ज्ञान. He's expanded into like 500 pages. So don't buy the book. But if you get access to a free PDF copy, definitely read it.
Sure. There are also many questions about like a double MBA, like from IIM and then abroad. how does that work? How effective is that?
Yeah, it depends again. I think matlab most it's personal preference. Yeah, if you want to like go take a study leave again and maybe get the experience of an Ivy League MBA from outside, definitely I think go for it. But it also depends on where you are at in your careers. Maybe it's possible that you want to switch an industry, or it's possible that you are not really enjoying the sector that you're in and you want to try out something different, or you don't know what you really want and you want to take a break which is not detrimental to your career. Generally people after an MBA only go for a second MBA in one of these circumstances. So it's like a fail safe option, right? You can do your MBA, do your second MBA at a good college, and it only boosts your profile. It doesn't really detriment it in any way. So it's your preference, I think. जाना है तो जा सकते हो. It's like not a choice of whether your career opportunities will get limited or will they get expanded in a lot of way. It also depends on which geography you're planning to settle into. So generally, at least my seniors from Ahmedabad, a couple of them have actually gone and done their second MBA abroad. I've spoken to actually two of them. One did it because they did not want to settle in India. They wanted to settle in either Europe or US. So unka geography preference tha, that's why she went abroad. And the other person went abroad because he wanted to switch his industry. So after his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, he did not actually land a very good job. It was like a decent 15-16 lakhs per annum package at a FMCG company, and he wanted to get into consulting. And that's when he worked in that FMCG company for 6 years, and then he applied to Harvard and he got in. So it depends on what your circumstances are.
Sure. Also, people were inquiring about a master's in management versus an MBA at IIM Ahmedabad, like at an IIM.
Yeah, honestly, I am not too familiar and I don't know the details of the Masters in Management course, so I can't comment on it. But I do know people who have done it and then actually gotten into consulting. So it could be an option for you, but I don't think I am the right person to comment on it because I don't know much.
Okay. I also wanted to ask, like, what advice would you give to an undergraduate who's like confused about all the different options available to them? And is there anything that you wish you did differently when you were an undergraduate for your career trajectory?
Okay. I think I wish I had more clarity on what I wanted to do, because in BITS I remember in 4-1 I did not. So I did a lot of risky things, so to say. I did not sit for my placements in 4-1. That's when most of the good companies, or say higher package companies, etc., good brands come on campus. But I did not sit for placements in my 4-1. I did not go to an internship, a PS2 in my 4-2. I did a thesis instead. Because I just wanted to stay on campus and just enjoy the campus life. So that's what I did. Then, in fact, I was not even going to sit for placements, and then suddenly I made up my mind, कि ठीक है, बैठ जाता है, क्या ही जाएगा. So then 4-2 में I sat for my placements, and the companies that started to come on campus, in the very first few rounds, ZS and I think SX Lake Group, these two companies had come on the same day. And I didn't know much about either, so I just submitted my resume. I actually had no clue on what I was just submitting my resume at. I just knew that, hey, I could apply to this job, because generally the discipline wise, your chances of applying to different companies get defined, right? So A2 ke liye wo thoda sa tha ki you cannot sit for XYZ companies, and the options which were open, I used to apply to them. And it's just a matter of luck that I got shortlisted into both of them. And then there was another company that I think it was Citibank or something else, कुछ bank था. I'm not able to recall. तो वो तीनों में एक ही दिन पे shortlist आया था. So I sat for all the 3 interviews, and I liked the ZS process better than the other 2. Maybe because the questions that they asked were more thoda common sense, business logic. I was asked to do some data interpretation type of questions and figure out mistakes in this process, etc. It was like काफी hands-on and काफी interesting problems that I was given to solve in the interviews process. So I like that, and that's when I ended up choosing ZS. But like if I were to recommend something, I would say ki maybe get clarity early on, which I did not get, right? So do internships in your second year, in your third year, even in your winter breaks, uh, summer breaks, winter breaks. Try and figure out what areas excite you the most. It could be product management, so get a product management internship. It could be digital marketing, so do that and figure out if you are enjoying it. And if you're still unclear, like even after internships and case competitions and subjects, if you're still unclear, sit for consulting. Matlab, that's very clear. Agar kuch nahi samajh aa raha, go sit for consulting, because that's something jahan pe it's you can still explore. It's like deferring your decision of choosing something, and that's what I did. I did that even in my MBA because I didn't know what to sit for. So I thought, let's sit for consulting. Again, we'll defer it. We'll figure out what to do, and we'll get good exposure and good learning on the way. So that would be my recommendation.
Sure. So now we'll just take up some questions that the audience have. So
Sure.
Amay Agrawal is asking, how do we practice case studies on our own apart from these competitions, or is it covered in the books you mentioned?
Okay. Yeah, case studies na, I don't think you can prepare on your own. Matlab, case studies ko crack karne ke liye, you need a case group, and that has to be a dedicated case group. Like all the 3 or 4 people in your case group should be sincere about the process, at least, because unless and until you have a good case group, you will not be able to get practice that you need to excel at case interviews. And it's generally not the skill that you have at case interviews, but just the amount of practice that you've had. Because matlab, usi se hi you will be able to crack your case interviews. So my suggestion would be, first form a case group. Like have 3 or 4 people who are interested in getting into consulting and are serious about the process. They are willing to spend say 1 to 2 hours daily with you for say at least 4 or 5 weeks. So get that group in, build that trust, have that rhythm that we will sit every day at 6 p.m. and then we'll solve 3-4 cases 6 to 8 p.m. मतलब ऐसा एक rhythm होना चाहिए. It just brings more routine into your life, and you are actually practicing cases in a real situation. Because खुद से करने में तुम मतलब वो that it doesn't happen. Like I cannot, like I'm not able to explain it, but अकेले नहीं हो पाएगा. What you can do अकेले is read that book, the books that I've mentioned, right? Case interviews cracked. You read it, and when you read it, you will understand the type of thinking that you have to develop. But what you're only working on is your thinking skill at that time. If you, when you're in a case group setting and you're solving a live case, you are also getting to practice your presentation skills and your communication skills, which are equally important, with the thinking. So you have to present, you have to communicate, and you have to think. So ये तीनों ही होना चाहिए, and all these 3 get tested when you are actually in a case group setting. So I would say case studies के लिए form a group, religiously practice. At least you need 4 or 5 weeks of practice daily, 1 to 2 hours, to be able to nail any case. Because generally there are 2 types of cases, right? Conventional and unconventional, or you could call it structured and unstructured. A structured case could be, hey, the profits have declined by 20%, figure out a reason why, and give me a recommendation. An unstructured case could be like, this person reached office 20 minutes late, figure out a reason why. So those are type of unconventional cases. So in both these categories, you need to familiarize yourself, and the familiarization only happens if you've practiced a lot of cases. So maybe take those 1 or 2 case books. IIM Ahmedabad ka case book, if you have access to, you can go through that as well. That is also like a beginner's guide. So take that, take day 1 from IIT Madras, and take the case interviews cracked from IIT Bombay. These 3 books should be your Bible for entire case prep.
All right. There's a question regarding, can people change jobs to consultancy after work experience in some other field after they are an undergraduate?
Yeah, you can definitely. But usme generally what works is if you're coming in from a referral. So if say you are at a different firm and you want to try and get into consulting, you need to write to someone, or you need to know someone who's at the firm who can put in a referral for you. Because getting into a consulting firm will be integrative track में, the track that I've mentioned. It's a little difficult. So you need to have your buy-in from the inside first, because a lot of people generally apply for this role, and outside of the campus, McKinsey generally does not hire, at least in the initial roles. But you can try and get that referral, or you can build your profile, really काफी strong profile, and give a good cover letter and submit your application, and that still increases the chances, but still not as much as a referral would. So that's the easiest route for you to get into, even if you are not in consulting in the first place.
What are some of the courses as your humanities and management electives that you took that helped you?
Okay, let me remember, 1 second. मेरे पास होगा लिखा हुआ. Wait, just give me a minute. Let me open that.
Yeah, sure.
That will be helpful. So essentially that's what I did. Okay, so you see, my first semester the GPA was 7, and then you will notice that I just increased it year on, like semester by semester. Let me start with the HSS. So wherever you see HSS now, just read that. So I think the first one is professional ethics, where I got an A. The next one is introduction to globalization, again an A. Then I think I had 1 second, क्या है इधर और कुछ है क्या? No, all of these are. Oh yeah, then this is a general studies course, which is modern political concepts, again an A. So ये 3 courses थे. Then I think I had another one. Let me bring up my transcript, second part of it. इधर भी कुछ था क्या? There is one on current affairs. I think I got an A here. Again, you'll see a couple of GS courses. I had effective public speaking, public administration, and creative writing. So all of these, so that's where my GPA ended out to be. And then even in my final semester, I did a thesis in not in civil, but in humanities, and again scored an A. So that's my tip if you want to increase your GPA. Like.
Sure. Okay. Thanks a lot, Akshata. I think that's it. Thank you for taking out the time for this. And if you have anything else to say, then please go ahead.
No, I think I've already talked a lot. लोग थोड़े बोर हो गए होंगे, but actually I just want to hear a couple of people. Why don't maybe अगर किसी के पास कोई question है, why don't they say it out loud? Like I want to hear people talk. I've been talking for so long.
Okay.
So maybe let's make it more interactive.
Oh, okay.
Okay, somebody's asking me. Wait, this is a very interesting question. Somebody's asking me, what's the end goal of a consulting career? Oh man, I wish I knew, yaar. Matlab, I have no idea. Actually, in fact, right now I'm just wondering how do I, proceed with my career at this point. I've been at McKinsey for 1 year, so I'm hoping to stay at least for 1 more year. And then I want to figure out which sectors really interest me. So I'm actually looking to specialize in a sector. So far, I've had exposure in banking. I have had exposure in railways, infrastructure, and digital transformation pieces. So these are my areas of exposure so far. What I would want to actually end up at is sector expertise and figure out that sector in the next year or so. So that's the goal. That's a short-term goal. But I don't know the end goal, man. How difficult is it to transition from private equity to consulting? Not at all. In fact, you can also switch from consulting to private equity. It's vice versa. Both are interesting dynamic fields, and generally consultants with a financial background are preferred, especially if you've had good work ex in that field. So it's a good opportunity. Not at all difficult. In fact, easier than any other role.
Okay, sure. Let's let's wrap up then. Okay, let's wrap up. Thanks a lot, Akshata. Thanks for taking out the time. As I said, I know you have a really busy schedule. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
So,
Good night.
you. Bye.
Yeah.
Good night.